I hope I haven't given the impression that the foregoing is anything like a definitive account of the women I have known, the brawls I have been in, or the incidents of motion picture making. Nothing of the sort. But even the Mississippi comes to an end. I don't want to be redundant. I could mention more rows, more litigations, more hoaxes, more drinks, more kicks, perhaps more thoughts. Nor have I touched on my sea experiences. But who wants to get drowned in words? Women. Could I present a gallery of women I have known, loved, been loved by, or just taken by? I could not. It's impossible. I remember the first, the maid that worked for us in Australia, and I remember the last. No mention of names. But in between, I have done a lot of traveling. Since my teens, I have gone to bed 12 or 14,000 nights, and I don't want to enter into competition with any of these computers that they're working with up at Harvard. I would lose out to a computer. Living I have done enormously, like a gourmand eating the world, and I don't suppose it is egotism, but only fact, to suggest that few others alive in the present century have taken into their maw more of the world than have I. On the sea, beneath it, in the air, and in all parts of most of lands, I have gone a hunting in quest neither of fame nor of fortune, but the vindication of the act of living. But I have found my holy grail. I have seen the structures of this century and been within them, and I am of them. I have had my fun, my kicks, my vodka, my affairs, and my fights, and my pictures, at one place or another, and at all of them. I rather suppose that not since Ulysses has anyone roamed more than I, waged more of a war with and against the sirens and the siren songs of our time. I have slain the lens, one-eyed, single-focused, cinematic Polyphemus of our time, as the earlier wanderer slew the Cyclops. I have had my women, felled the suitors, wielding my sword for the world to see, have had fun and action, romance and sport, and looked hard for the deeper meaning of it all. I have tried, like a warrior in a cause, to find a meaning in the meaningless, life in death, death in life, joy in anger, laughter in love. And I have found hardship, money, and fame, and riches, and wretchedness, and pain, and unhappiness. I have had wives, loves, and children. All my life I have tried to find my mother, and I have never found her. My father has not been Theodore Flynn, exactly, but a will-o'-the-wisp just beyond, whom I have chased and hunted for him to see him smile upon me. And I shall never find my true father, for the father I wanted to find was what I might become. But this shall never be, because inside of me there is a young man of New Guinea who had other things in mind for himself besides achieving phallic symbolism in human form. I am living with this brand, even relatively happy, but I wish it hadn't happened. I do not know whether I have conveyed it, or tried to convey it, but I have been cut by my own sword. So deeply that I am ready for whatever befalls. Flynn is not always in. Sometimes he is far, far out, at the bottom of the chasm, at the bottom of the cleft. There's my life, a picturesque painting, not like a Van Gogh with its thick, crazy beauty on a small canvas, not like a Gauguin with its placid skies and its serene folk and its bronzed splendor, not like a Rembrandt, conservative and model and burgomaster, not like a Michelangelo, vast and religious, with truth and strength in the limbs. Mine is more like some Toulouse-Lautrec, with its high-colored panties and a wild abandon, more like a Degas, with its endless dancing girls, its theater, its burlesque, its vodka haze. More like the dappled obscurity of some surrealist painter of today's small gallery, where you have to peer hard to find meaning, where the color splashes endlessly, losing itself in a mosaic of insane design, mayhem-like, with stroking of the brush, drunken sprawls of oil laid on heavily in the wrong places. I have tried to paint it in words, for I could not possibly do it in plastics. But no matter, there I am, unable to understand myself, still not knowing who I am, still hunting for my soul, laughing boy who tried to knock himself off from time to time, and even failed at this as at other things. Oh, I have seen enough and done enough and been places enough and livened my senses enough and dulled my senses enough and probed enough and laughed enough and wept more than most people would suspect. Where am I now? On June 20th of this year, I turned 50, so I gave myself a birthday gift. A big stone house on the north side of Jamaica, overlooking the Caribbean. As I read the galley proof of this book, I am seated on the porch piazza. I shall have to find a fancier name for the porch. It is a long stretch of stone. I stare out 9 miles at the green Carib. It is quiet out there, and quiet up here, a few hundred feet above that sea. I can be relatively happy now. I have the sea for a sister, a brother, a father, and a mother. There is a swimming pool within a few feet of where I sit. It is 40 feet across, and it takes a nice curve, fitting the loop of the hill on which the house is built. There is a wingspan of 150 feet to this little chicken shed. I suppose it is rather baronial, as befits Baron Flynn, formerly of the court of Hollywood, regent to His Majesty Jack Warner, king of Cinemania. I came here recently after finishing a picture in Cuba, Cuban Rebel Girl, based on the days I spent with Castro just before the fall of Batista. My children are with their mothers back in the States. My own parents are in England. My war with my mother drones on steadily toward a silent truce. I am alone, except for my 4 dogs, Jamaica pups. One that looks like a spotted shadow and barks hastily and may bite hastily, and they are good company. Not far away is the small house of my caretaker. He oversees the farmhands who grow the palms and pick the citrus and carry down the limes and lemons and breadfruit. All around me is the frangipani with its sweet smell of jungle, erasing for me what lies beyond in the great cities. There is a carefully groomed yard around this new house. Tall coconut stalks with their monstrous yet beautiful spider web branch design shade me from the view of screwballs, beatniks, and other forms of predators. A mile below, at the water's edge, is another swimming pool, except this one is formed out of a natural shore formation. I go there occasionally and take a dip in the blue salt water I love so very much. The second half-century looms up, but I don't feel the night coming on.